Hey folks, Harrison Graham here from Chat Sports. Draft week is upon us, and on our Chicago Bears YouTube channel, I discussed the perfect draft plan for Chicago, 5-step process, which I think would give the Bears the best chance to contend right away. So check that out coming up on today's show. But before the video starts, hit that subscribe button here on our draft channel. We've been plugging out multiple videos per day for the past couple of months. Going to be a busy week with the draft here, so subscribe and enjoy today's show. Coming up on today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, my perfect draft plan for the Bears. This is not a mock draft. This is more of a plan, what they should do in certain spots of the draft. So that's how we're going to approach it here on today's show. Draft less than a week away. So Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, clock is ticking to get your draft boards finalized. Of course, the Bears have 10 draft picks to work with at this point. Number 9 overall, all the way to number 258 and 8 picks sandwiched in between. That 53 to 64 range, I think, is going to be very interesting to have those 3 selections in a 12-pick range. You look at some of the top needs for the Bears entering the draft. Offensive tackle, got to get another tackle to pair with Braxton Jones. Edge, 1, if not 2 guys. Need more defensive linemen. That's why I got defensive tackle in there. If you could find a good 3-tech, that would be ideal in this draft. Cornerback, I think adding another starter there would be nice if you can find one. And then center. I don't think it's got to be a major priority early on, but getting a potential future starting center in this draft, I think, is something that I would like to see the Bears try to achieve. Can we do it? Can we reach 65,000 subscribers by Tuesday? I got to be honest. Our Vikings channel host, Patrick Seatman, came to me and told me, I don't think y'all can do it. We're going to get more subs between now and then. He's like, we're getting 250 subs from Friday to Tuesday. I said, all right, bet. Challenge is on. Can we get to 65,000? Because if we do, we will do a live fan-led mock this Tuesday. It's up to you guys. Can we get there? Go ahead and subscribe. Let's see if we can make it happen. All right, my perfect draft plan, kind of 5 categories here, and I think you got to start in the first round. And I think trading back for an offensive tackle is probably the most ideal option for Chicago in round 1. I think, there's some good players there, but I don't love the options at number 9 specifically. Like, I like Paris Johnson Jr. I like Broderick Jones. I like Darnell Wright. I think these are all guys that can start as rookies and become really, really good players. I just don't know if any of these guys are top 10 prospects, and if we are going to base this off what Ryan Poles has done early on as a GM, he's the best player available guy. And if he doesn't have one of these guys as proper value at number 9 overall, then he probably shouldn't take one there. But you know how important filling offensive tackle is. So trading down to get one of them at number 9, I think makes a lot of sense because you've got that gaping hole at offensive tackle. Braxton Jones is in there for now at left tackle, but maybe you move him to right, draft a left, or maybe you draft one of these guys to play right. Darnell Wright, for example, is strictly a right tackle in my opinion in the NFL. I think Jones or Johnson could play either spot, so we'll see how they approach that. Obviously, we'll mention Peter Skoronski as well, but I just think he's more of a guard in the NFL. I think he could play tackle. I just think he's better as a guard. And I'll be honest, too, if you're trading down from number 9, I don't think you're going to get Skoronski because I think he'll probably be the first lineman drafted. So the Bears' one chance will be at number 9. But if they think tackle's a bigger need, then I would trade down and take one of these other players who I think is more of a tackle. All right, pick an offensive tackle. If, let's say, the Bears trade down to 15 and all 3 are available in a hypothetical scenario, who do you want? Type PJ for Paris Johnson Jr., type BJ for Broderick Jones, or type DW for Darnell Wright. I'm good with all 3. I just don't love any of them at number 9. I'd be okay with any of them at number 9, but I would love any of these 3 in a trade-down scenario. Next up in my perfect Bears draft plan, take 2 defensive linemen on day 2. At least, to be frank. I mean, 3 could even be a possibility as well. And keep in mind, if you trade back, you're probably getting an extra day 2 pick as well. So we'll look at some edge prospects and defensive tackles that could be available on day 2. B.J. Ojulari, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Will McDonald, those 3 guys in particular could sneak into round 1, but they could be available on day 2. Now, I don't know if they'd fall to 53, but maybe in a trade-down scenario, you get a pick in the 30s or 40s. One of those guys is there. Keon White, kind of the same deal. Some think he can sneak into round 1. I think he goes round 2. Isaiah Foskey, he should be there at 53. 53. Same with Derek Hall and Tuli Tuipulotu. Byron Young, Isaiah McGuire, Zach Harrison. They're more like third-round guys that actually could fall to day 3, but could be available in the 3rd round. Some defensive tackles. I think it's really just 8 guys. And I mentioned Kalijah Cansey. He's probably going round 1, but he didn't have a single draft visit. I don't know what to make of that. It may not be a big deal at all, but maybe he slips to round 2. You'd obviously have to trade up from 53 to get him. He's not going to fall there. Probably have to do the same for Adetomo Adebawore. Some people think he'll go round 1. I think he'll go 2nd round, but probably doesn't fall to 53. Mozzie Smith, I think, is the best 1-tech in this draft. Jervon Dexter Sr. is an interesting player at the 1-tech. Keanu Benton's got 1-tech and 3-tech versatility. I think 61, 64 is good range for him. Siaki Ika, not a huge fan, but maybe at 64. Zach Pickens, same deal. I would trade down later in round 3. Alabama's Byron Young is probably more late 3rd round or early 4th round, so he could fall to day 3. The point is, you look at your defensive line, you need starters. Like, you need multiple guys here to improve. Rasheem Green, ideally, he's a backup. Justin Jones, ideally, he's a backup. I think DeMarcus Walker likely starts. Billings could start as your 1-tech, but at minimum, you need 2 new guys that can start, and you need 3, 4, 5 guys to fill out that position. You've got to beef up your defensive line with multiple bodies. That's why if I were the Bears and they don't end up drafting a defensive lineman in round 1 like a Jalen Carter, I think taking multiple on day 2 is going to make sense for Ryan Poles. Today's show is sponsored by Z-Biotics. I don't rally the way I used to after a night of drinking, but that's all changed now that I have gotten going with Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics is a pre-alcoholic probiotic. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after a night of drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Give Z-Biotics a try for yourself. If you don't believe me, go to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to get 15% off. Z-Biotics offers a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you are unsatisfied with this for any reason at all, take this shot, drink. You're going to be feeling great the next day. If you're not satisfied, they'll get you your money back. No questions asked. Use code chatsports to get the discount of 15% off at zbiotics.com/chatsports. Next up on our perfect draft plan video, add an outside corner on day 2. Look, you're saying that's a lot of day 2 stuff. Well, you have three day 2 picks, so it's possible to get 2 D linemen in a corner. Again, best player available is still what you should do, but again, this is a perfect draft plan if things fall the way you want them to. Look, I think there's some good depth at corner in this draft. It's not just the top flight guys that are going to go in round 1. Keely Ringo, he could fall to round 2. Cam Smith, some people think he could fall to round 3. DJ Turner out of Michigan, 4.26 in the 40. Raw in some areas, but that upside is intriguing. Julius Brents at 6'2", love the size. Ball skills could improve a little bit, but I think he's got all the tools. Love Tyreek Stevenson's athleticism. Darius Rush, the other corner out of South Carolina, he's got intriguing skills as well. I've said this a few times, and I'll say it again. Jaylon Johnson is a really good outside corner. Kyler Gordon has a lot to prove, though, and if you're going to keep him at nickel, you need another outside corner, man. Kendall Vildor, he's a backup, in my opinion. I like the way Jaylon Jones and Josh Blackwell competed last year as undrafted free agents. Those are depth pieces right now that should not be asked to start this season. Adding another corner makes sense. It just does. You need another starter back there. And if you get another corner that's starting caliber, your secondary is pretty loaded, man, with the safety combo of Eddie Jackson and Jaquan Brisker. So I like this idea. It's a good draft to get somebody, between picks 50 and 75. You can find a starting caliber corner in that spot. Similar spots where you found Jaylon Johnson just a few years ago. Do the Bears need another starting cornerback? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think it's a no-brainer. You got to get someone else on the back end. Get your votes in down in the comments. Y for yes or in for no. Do the Bears need another starting corner? How about this? Find a center on day 3. Sure, you could go John Michael Schmitz on day 2, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. You could go a Joe Tippmann on day 2. That'd be fine as well. But I think center is not as huge of a priority at this moment. You've got Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick, two options for you that could get you through 2023. But I think there's intriguing names on day 3 of the draft that could develop into future starters, especially a couple of these guys in particular. Ricky Stromberg out of Arkansas, I think he can be a center in 2024. Same with Luke Whippler. I think a lot of these guys probably need at least a year, kind of a redshirt year, to learn and kind of get their body where they need to for the NFL. Olu Oluwatimi did not have a great pre-draft process, but I still think he's got potential. Juice Scruggs is a player the Bears are interested in. They've met with him. Alex Forsyth, I think, is a deep sleeper, 5th, 6th, 7th round that has, potentially a starting future, if not at least a quality backup. But Stromberg and Whippler in particular, I think these guys can start in the NFL, if not as rookies, starting in 2024. And again, you just need to continue to add to this unit, right? Like, I like the addition of Nate Davis. Finding Braxton Jones in the 5th round last year was solid. Tevin Jenkins has been a good player for you. But I think getting a developmental center, I like that idea, because Cody Whitehair is not a long-term solution. This is probably his last year with the team, if he's on this team at all this year. He could still be a post-June 1 cut. Lucas Patrick, same deal. I don't think he's a long-term option. Getting someone in here to compete and potentially start down the road makes a lot of sense. And then lastly, don't ignore skill positions. Listen, I know you got DJ Moore, which created the DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool trio. You've got depth at receiver with Velus Jones, Equinemius St. Brown, and Dante Pettis. But there's still value to find at wide receiver if you want to upgrade there in the middle later rounds. Running back, you got Deontay Foreman on board, Khalil Herbert, Travis Homer. Still have Treston Ebner, but this is a damn good running back draft. You shouldn't ignore that. Tight end, same deal. It's a great tight end draft. Whether you take one earlier in the middle rounds, there are guys to add. We'll look at those tight ends first. Day 2 and 3 guys. Luke Musgrave could sneak into round 1, but him and Laporta, 2nd, 3rd round probably is interesting names. Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State. He's an interesting prospect. Luke Schoonmaker out of Michigan, I think 3rd, 4th round. Zach Kuntz, 4th round. Love his athleticism at 6'7", 250. Ran a sub 4.6. Davis Allen's a good athlete. Payne Durham, the Bears met with. Josh Wiley, Will Mallory, Cameron Latu. There's some good depth tight ends here that can contribute right away. Day 2 wide receiver prospects. We'll look at some day 3 guys as well. Josh Downs, Cedric Tillman. I love Tillman at 61 if he's there, 53. I don't know what that means for some other receivers, but I think that's interesting. Marvin Mims, Jonathan Mingo, A.T. Perry, Tank Dell, if you want to, kind of a just undersized route running machine there. Xavier Hutchinson, a big possession receiver, just like Rashee Rice. Jaden Reed had a huge pre-draft process, great Senior Bowl. Trey Palmer ran a burning 40-yard dash. He's got some decent size as well. And then you got some day 3 sleepers. Like, where does Kayshon Boutte go? I think he probably falls to day 3, but he's a very talented player. Parker Washington is a slot option on day 3. Michael Wilson, a lot of people think he could go day 2. Charlie Jones, Bryce Ford-Wheaton's one of my draft sleepers. 4th, 5th, 6th round if he's hanging around. I like that. Rakeem Jarrett, Ronnie Bell, Darius Davis, kind of an undersized return specialist that can give you a little bit on offense as well. Trey Tucker, Dontavian Wicks had a great 2021 year. Wasn't great in 22, but he's got some good tape out there. Then you get to running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs, look, he could go round 1, but say he falls to 53 somehow. That's tempting. Devin Achane in that 53, 61, 64 range, along with Zach Charbonnet. They could be some names to monitor. Tyjae Spears, Tank Bigsby, Kendre Miller, Roschon Johnson, Israel Abanikanda. Like those guys in the 3rd round on the right side of your screen. And then some day 3 guys. Chase Brown, if he's there on day 3, love it. Zach Evans, same deal. Dwayne McBride, he's a stud. Sean Tucker had some medical questions in the pre-draft process, but a couple months ago, he was like a round 2 lock. If he's there in the 4th, let's go, man. Get him in here. Eric Gray, Kenny McIntosh, like both of those guys. Deuce Vaughn, very undersized, but he's tough as hell and can do some different things. Keaton Mitchell has some burn, sub 4.4 guy. Evan Hall, local kid out of Northwestern. Chris Rodriguez out of Kentucky. This draft is loaded with depth running backs, and that's kind of the point. Quality skill position depth. Even if you feel good about your receiver room and feel okay at running back, tight end with Cole Kmet and Robert Tonyan, doesn't mean you shouldn't draft some of these guys. Like, best player available mentality. I think that is what Ryan Poles should be thinking here. What's the one thing you want to see the Bears do in this draft? Maybe it's trade down in round 1. Maybe it's go select Jalen Carter. Maybe it's a specific guy on day 3 you want. Let me know one specific thing or player you want to see the Bears do during the NFL draft. Final advice, and I kind of just mentioned it. Trust your big board. Polls, Flus, scouts, assistant GM Ian Cunningham, your entire front office. You've spent the last 12 months on evaluations. You're a rebuilding football team still. Don't force the issue. Trust your scouting department and lean on that. Take the best players. Like if Paris Johnson is your 14th best player, you don't have to force it at number 9 just because you think you need an offensive tackle. So stick to that philosophy. I think more often than not, you're going to be in a good shape as you try to shape this 53-man roster. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. Enjoy your weekend. We'll have a video go out tomorrow on Saturday, also on Sunday. We'll be back in the studio Monday for a busy draft week, so hit that sub button. Bear down. We'll see you guys soon.